Hey there, game idea wanters. I'm Isaac, and I'm absolutely laden with runestones.
And I'm Calamity Claire.
And this is Make
That
That Game!
Where we pitch the latest
The greatest
new video game ideas.
that aren't likely to become video games.
Unlikely, one could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, jumping right into it,
Jumping right in.
I
Isaac,
have a game idea for you. Yeah,
I'm
I know.
supposed
This is the second time in a. Yeah, I'm just capitalizing it.
Isaac, I at least have to ask you if you have a game
All
idea. That's
right,
not
I'll let you
complete.
ask.
Isaac, the question of the day is, do you have a game idea?
Now, is this different from Claire asks a question,
Yeah.
our other premiere
No, this is the
segment?
question of the entire day, of all
Okay.
of today.
All
And
right.
any day that you're a listener.
I'm going to front load this by saying that I have no idea what I could name this game, but I do know the vibe that I want the name to have,
Okay.
and I want it to be a sort of spooky, sinister, yet intriguing kind of
Mm.
title, like
Mm-hmm.
one word. I just want it to be spooky and sinister,
Okay.
and well, sound like maybe a location
Okay. All
or
right.
something. Um,
Wisposphere.
Wisposphere. All right, that's the name of this game. All right, so the game is a massive ruin. One could say it's built by the Tartarians, maybe.
Oh boy. Oh boy, bringing it right back to the
The ancient civilization.
Tartarians.
Um, it's just on the brain. It's just on the brain. It's
It is.
real. Tartarian.
No,
Look it up.
it's not real. It is not real. Do not. Well, you can look it up, but
Look it up with the understanding that it's not real.
not real. Not real.
All right, so it is a massive labyrinth. It is a series of many like Legend of Zelda style dungeon layouts. So
Okay.
each floor could be conceived of as like an entire like Legend of Zelda dungeon, and maybe the floors like intertwined sometimes like Legend of Zelda dungeons do. So you have like a bunch of like individual rooms connected to each other that each room has either a number of enemies or a puzzle or both that you need to get through, and your goal is just to beat all the levels. There's no like overworld exploration, like get from dungeon to dungeon. No, you are just starting at the top of the dungeon going all the way down. There is room for one of my favorite tropes in these dungeons kinds of games, where like you can go to the surface and there's like a small town that you can like get supplies and stuff at. But the main combat mechanic for this game is not your traditional kind of. It's not like Diablo 2 where you're like clicking on things and using abilities and skills and
Ah,
killing
yes.
everything on
Diablo
screen.
2.
It's not like Legend of Zelda games where you're swinging your swords and using your items. The primary method of interaction in this game is you have a psychic power which is represented it so trying to figure out how to. I have this like vivid idea in my head, but trying to like word out how it makes sense is difficult. But
Okay.
basically, so you use your mouse or a stylus, depending on like what this game is, to draw lines on the screen, and when you close the lines, like when you make a full shape, the things inside of those lines are assailed by your psychic power
Okay,
and
like
take damage or die.
so very similarly to Kirby drill power in Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Except you're not
Yes.
physically doing it, but Kirby
Yes, your
draws a
character's not the
shape,
one.
and then once you complete the shape, it like explodes.
Yes, it does
So it's
damage to
like a
everything within
similar.
it.
I know it's not exploding, and you're not like physically in the position. I guess right is the
Yeah.
idea.
Yes.
Like kind of a similar mechanic, I guess.
Yep. So the idea is that, like, let's say let's assume that it's a game that has a stylus. For some reason, I'm designing a Nintendo DS game
Or it could be like
years
an
after that
iPad
has
game.
stopped being relevant. Yeah, it could be an iPad game. But the idea is that you use the stylus or the mouse for basically everything except for movement. So there's no A to interact, like A to talk to someone. You would click on them with the stylus or your mouse button. So you would play one hand on the keyboard, WASD, one hand on the stylus or mouse or whatever. So yeah, the you would enter a room. The enemies would be in positions. The limit to your power is you have basically like an energy bar, and as you draw, your energy bar decreases, so you have a limited amount that you can draw. So like at the beginning of the game you might be able to only envelop one enemy at a time in a circle, but
Mm-hmm.
as you explore these ruins, your psychic power, your psychic potential becomes unlocked more, and you can focus on this energy longer and draw bigger circles. So enemies size might also play into this. So like small enemies you can encircle very easily, use very little power, um, or you can encircle multiple at the same time. But if you come up against a very large enemy, you might not be able to completely encircle them, so you won't be able to hurt them. So that's like one way of gating progression, is if there's a room with a giant boss monster that's too big so that you can't draw a full shape completely around them, then you have to back off, go back into the dungeon, explore another section of it in order to get the power up, and then go back to the area. So it's also kind of like a Metroidvania style thing. So yeah, the gameplay loop is find power ups, defeat monsters, delve down into the dungeon, eventually defeat the final boss.
All right.
And that's my game.
All right. I like it. I think the mechanic of the drawing the circle is really fun. I can see getting really frustrated by that. Like, well, because okay, but not in a bad way, but like, because obviously you want some challenge. So I just imagine like, okay, we're in like a really intense battle, and I just miss that connection, right? Like it just
Oh yeah,
doesn't, and you're
you're
like,
trying to draw
no,
fast.
or like you just go like this much over your limit of like how big you can make it, and it's like it just disappears. It's like
Oh yeah,
nope,
you're about to close a shape and then you
and it's
run
like
out and it's like a
nope.
millimeter.
So
Yep.
those are some things I imagine would happen while I play the game, and I would say, "Why is it like this?" Ah, just like that. But yeah, cool. I think I personally would miss the outside world a little bit, having just a dungeon only game. But I would play this game. I think it's a good game.
Thank you.
Wisposphere
Wisposphere.
doesn't
Oh,
have to be called
actually, the sphere actually makes sense. Like, you're not
that.
always drawing spheres, but since like the most common shape is probably going to be a circle because it's
Yeah,
the easiest to draw, or like some kind of like round
right.
oblong shape. Um, that's the sphere part. So like the dungeon's name is Wisposphere.
Mhm.
So then you delve into Wisposphere.
Yeah, wow. I'm glad that I could name your game for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah. So, how about you? Do you have games ideas?
So I have game ideas. They're not my game ideas, though. Not today.
Stolen games ideas?
Not stolen. They're listener game ideas.
Willfully offered by listeners. You,
Yes.
listener, can also submit your game ideas through email, comments.
Yeah. It's through
We'll talk about
email
it later.
comments. Well, I'll tell you now, in case you want to know, that you can email us, makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com, with game ideas if you want them read on the show. We love to hear them. So we're going to move on. We're going to read the game ideas.
Okay.
So listener Larry sent in 2 game ideas. So I will be reading those both.
Okay.
In the first game, you are a socialite. You have to be a socialite with a completely fabricated background. You're hired to sneak into parties and talk about words that you may or may not understand while avoiding people at the parties that could possibly identify the words you're talking about, and they will call you out as a charlatan. You go bankrupt and lose everything if you don't have enough fragments of truth on you to fake your way through being called out. You could call this game something like Charlatans or Hobo Shaker. Maybe not that one. Charlatans, I like. You're basically a homeless person until enough people are convinced that you're not actually a sewer rat and get paid to support the illusion of a superior lifestyle. All right, so I had the pleasure of talking to listener Larry in person, so I actually have some other context for this game. So you get fragments of truth by basically convincing people that you know what you're talking about.
So, fragments of truth are like an item or currency in the
Yeah,
game?
exactly.
Okay.
And the idea is that like you'd be talking about real things, but that are obscure and very niche. And I forget his example, but I guess
Like,
it could
if you're a geologist, you'd be
yeah.
talking about sedimentary layers and stuff.
Okay, right, and
Or
most
if you're an
people
architect, you're talking about Tartarian
there you go.
architecture.
So, like, most people at the party wouldn't know, right, what you're
Right.
talking about, so you're, like, you're, like, choosing words in a menu, you're trying to, like, bullshit, basically. I don't know, we can't swear, sorry. You're trying to, like, just lie your way through it, but you're
Mhm.
using kind of these real terms and buzzwords. But then the idea is like as you socially climb, it's going to be more and more likely that you'll end up at a location where someone in that same field is. So like you can no longer make up stuff because they're there. And so you can use your fragments of truth, I think, to say the true thing, I guess.
Oh, so, like, so you spend fragments of truth to get out of situations where you would
Right.
otherwise be caught, and it represents, like, actually gleaning knowledge
Yeah.
instead of just completely
I'm
making it up? Okay.
I'm pretty sure, and
That's a
listener
good
Larry,
name
let
for the
us know
mechanic.
if I'm wrong, but it is, yeah. But that's what I was kind of guessing when he was talking about it with me. So this is charlatans, where you are trying to fake your way through high society. And I honestly really like this. I think this is great. It feels very Anna Delvey, if you will.
Yes!
It's very good.
Thank you for that submission, listener
Yeah,
Larry. And
and
now
like,
thank you for the second one because I
yeah,
just remembered we've got 2.
we've got two. So the other game is a cross country driving simulator in 1945, very specific, where you have to deal with the new progressive income tax and the lack of the international highway system.
Okay.
You can call this game Oregano Joe because there's a mode where random events interfere with your journey, like other cross country game called Oregon Trail. Then he says, I feel like Oregano Joe might already be taken though.
Okay. So I assume okay. So listener Larry, you should submit what the gameplay is actually like because I'm
Yeah.
simultaneously imagining Desert Bus where you are actually driving a desert bus, like a bus through the desert in real time. So like if it's an 8-hour journey, like you actually have to drive the bus for 8 hours. But I'm also imagining that it is just Oregon Trail style where like your vehicle moves across the map and then random event occurs and you have to then resolve that via whatever mini game it is. So like
Right.
oh maybe traders or oh maybe the person you're riding has to go to the bathroom.
I
Um
I do think we're kind of lacking in society on Oregon Trail like games.
that's true. I can
Trail leg,
only think
we can say.
of Oregon Trail and Oregon Trail, which is a
Oregon
zombie.
Trail?
It's a zombie apocalypse version of
Oh
Oregon
my
Trail.
gosh,
So
I
you're
never heard of that.
crossing,
That's kind of funny.
yeah,
But like there should be 100 of these. Like that I
there
think.
should be.
It's a very popular game and
Well, popular for like our generation, right? Like, I don't think the modern youth, the Gen Zs and Alphas, are
I
familiar
don't
with
know.
Oregon Trail.
I don't know if you're Gen Z, please let us know. You can find us on TikTok at Make That Game Pod.
Yeah, don't send us an
DM
email.
on,
We know
they're not
you
gonna eat.
won't.
No, DM us on TikTok at Make That Game Pod, and let us know what if you know because I feel like Oregon Trail became such a meme that people do still play it.
That's true. I
And
remember being very excited when I was in college and I got Oregon Trail to work on my PlayStation Portable
wow,
through an emulator of DOSBox.
that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, I
I
was proud.
I never played the original Oregon Trail. I played the first one I ever had was Oregon Trail 5, which I think was the most like the last installment.
Wow, they made the Oregon Trail journey 5 different times?
No. It was the 5th one, but it was on a CD and it had, like, a lot more graphics, I guess,
Okay, yeah.
to a point, graphics to a point, but yeah, and I remember begging my parents to get even though it's just, like, an edutainment game that we played in school, I, like, begged them to get me a copy, so I do still have Oregon Trail 5 on CD, but you cannot run it. I tried.
So that was probably Windows 98, and just recently, there ha I don't know if the breakthrough was recently or people are just finding out about it recently, but they have opened the world of Windows 98 emulations. So I think that you can play that CD.
So I will be next time I go to my parents' house, I will be bringing that CD back to us.
and
And
we'll
we will be
figure out.
trying to play Oregon Trail 5,
That would be a
the
good
most
stream.
sophisticated Oregon Trail game. That would be a good stream. That would be.
Easy
All
to
right.
set up too.
Yeah. Yeah, because it'd just be PC gaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super easy. Cool. All right. Well, that's our game pitch sesh for y'all. We did it. Our
Yep.
next segment has many names. It could be
Well,
one
no,
of
there's
three things.
multiple. There's multiple different segments that it could be. They're completely unique segments.
Right.
There's Isaac asks a question or
Hmm.
Claire asks a question.
And then there's also Honk and Bonk.
There's also Honk and Bonk, and so I don't know how to transition to this because I don't know which one we're going with today.
We talked about it. Okay. We're very planned and organized podcasters, and that's why you listen, folks. That's why you listen. I have a game to Honk and Bonk.
You have a game to Honk and Bonk.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Let's talk about that. Here to give me some interaction in this sequence. I'll do it. Which game are you gonna honk and bonk?
I'm going to Honk and Bonk Breath of the Wild.
Oh, not Link's Awakening.
No, I've actually already honked and bonked Link's Awakening in a
That's
later
true.
episode when we used to do these every single recording.
Yep.
That was too many games.
So, what honks? Or actually, could you describe Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild for those who
Sure.
aren't aware of what it is? What kind of
Sounds good.
gameplay it has, so we have a baseline to work from.
I mean, I do think we've talked about it a lot, but I will for the
Yeah.
listener. So, Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a game where you play as third person
Yes. Over the shoulder. Yeah.
over the shoulder. I was like, is that right? It's open world. And you fight things. You have weapons and you climb towers. And that's the gameplay, right? I mean, that's
Yep.
you can teleport. There's teleport points.
There's puzzles.
There's lots of
You
puzzles,
solve puzzles, often involving physics.
lots of physics,
You have some
an
powers.
unexpected amount of physics.
You can throw bombs. You can take pictures. That's a big puzzle solving element.
There is, yeah. You actually people request pictures from you, and you have to take pictures and give them to them for like rewards and stuff. It's
Yeah.
good. I just
Uh,
think it's funny that the picture. This is neither a honk nor bonk. It's just a fun fact. So, like to do all the weird physics stuff, you have these runes that give you special powers, and I just think it's funny that taking pictures is one of those.
all right. So it's been a while. So let's refresh your memory. A honk is something that we liked about the design of the game. A bonk is something that we disliked about the design of the game. Sometimes we have a lot of honks, sometimes we got a lot of bonks, sometimes we got a mix of both, sometimes we uh I guess we would never have neither because then why would we even bring it up in
Just
this
say, well,
segment?
that
But
was a game I played anyway.
anyways, so Claire, what
Yeah.
what honks have you got for Breath of the Wild?
Great. And I'll be honest, didn't write them down even though yeah, we're going to just go off the cuff here. But
Well organized podcasters.
I do
Wow.
think this might be one of the best games I've ever played.
Whoa, that's a honk. That's a big honk.
It's so good, but I mean, let's break down why. One honk I actually really like, and we talked about this last episode, but I really like the I never remember the fancy term for it. Durability. I like that the
Yes.
weapons deteriorate. I think that's fun. I think it adds a lot to the game. It makes me again. I said it last week, but it makes me kind of more like not very precious about things. Like I know they're all going to break anyway, so it's kind of helping me be a little more spontaneous in the game. And it also encourages me to explore and attack little groups of villains because you can often get weapons and supplies there. So it's
Hmm.
like, oh well, I need a new bow, so I have to go here to get a new bow, and yeah, that's kind of fun. I think that's really it's engaging. It feels not realistic, I guess, but yeah, it's like if I throw my weapon or I lose a weapon, then I'm like not mad about it because it's like, well, it would have broken in 3 swings anyway. Or Isaac taught me the trick where weapons once when they break, they do more damage. So if you throw it right as it's gonna break, then it'll really
Hmm.
whop I almost said employee. Uh,
Okay.
We'll really get those employees. It'll really get those
Oh geez.
adversaries, I guess. I don't know. So that's really, really cool, and I think adds a lot to the game. I also really like that it is very I like the way they are doing open world. So, which I don't know if this is unique to this game, but I think they do it really well where there's a lot of choices because open world has a lot of choices. Um, but it's easy to like, I guess, know your limits. So, for example, when you're first dropped into the world, you can't really leave the plateau, which is like the training area, theoretically. I mean, it's a location. You can go back and do it, but it's where you kind of learn how to play the game because it's very high up. It's a plateau. So you can't leave it without having a glider. And like all of the things you learn is how to get the glider. Although I think speedrunners have figured out how to leave it. Oh no, they
Yeah.
haven't. That's the one thing they were like, we haven't figured out how to leave it without the glider, but they have ways.
Oh,
I think, or were they doing the? Never mind. It's a good speed run though if you want to watch it.
watch it.
I don't
AGDQ has all
remember.
their speedruns on their YouTube channel, so you
Yeah,
should
I don't
find the
remember
Breath of
how
the
they
Wild.
did it, but it was really good. Anyway, so even though it is open world, like you can't actually like go anywhere because you have to get the glider first. And then I was kind of wandering around an area that like obviously I had access to because I got there, but there was a ton of like really, really powerful enemies. And I just kept dying. So it's kind of like clearly I'm not like meant to be here, right? Like I shouldn't push through this because it's probably going to be even harder things that I'm just like not ready for. Like I don't have the armor for, I don't have the weapons for. And so the game itself is kind of like level setting for you. Well, at the same time, really allowing you to explore wherever you truly want. Like I think I got onto a tower. They have these towers that you climb to get map pieces, basically. Definitely not the way they expect it. Because I have this thing in video games I'm trying to unlearn where because you'll have the map and you'll put like your pin and then I'll just try to go as the crow flies, which means I'm on usually like climbing a bunch of stuff I'm not supposed to be climbing. And I got to like a really, really high point on a mountain that was completely like off the beaten path. And I realized I could just glide right to the top of the tower. And again, I don't think that was like the intended,
Wow.
but
Hey,
I did
if it
it.
works, it works.
If it works, it works.
There's a lot of that in Breath of the Wild from my
Well, yeah,
experience.
and that's another honk is that there's lots of different ways to solve something. Like you can sneak by something, you can destroy it, you can like choose to do a different activity that day. You know, like you I
not
was
not engage with this specific thing at all and go
right.
away.
Well, yeah, and so some of the teleport points are shrines and each shrine has a puzzle inside. And but if the puzzle is really hard, you still get the teleport point. You don't have to complete the puzzle to earn the teleport point. You just have to like activate it. And then you can go back anytime you want to complete the puzzle. So it's like, and you get some rewards for completing that. So that's the motivation to do it. But at the same time, like if you're just not about that right now and you just needed a teleport point so you could keep doing what you're doing, great. Live your life. That's what they say. Breath of the Wild, live free or die.
Breath of the Wild New Hampshire edition?
Yeah. So I really like how they've kind of crafted the open world so that it's very choose your own adventure. There's tons of side quests you can do. All that good stuff is it's really fun. It's really fun and good. I'm trying to think other ways that it's the best game.
I actually have something that I can add if I'm allowed to.
Sure.
So going back to the know your it's easy to know your limits, the enemies are color coded. So the game has a
Yes.
distinct visual design element to it. So you know like there's a group of 3 goblins, one's red, one's blue, one's black. You know that the black one is super strong and the red one is the weakest one. So you can either focus on the strongest one and try to take them out first, or
Yeah.
you can clear out the weaker ones and then tackle the strongest one solo. So you can problem solve that way. Or you can just say, I'm not going to fight
Right. Yeah. I don't
anything
have the
but red
power for them.
goblins. Yeah.
Or you can like switch out a weapon if you think like, oh, I'll use my stronger weapon because I know these enemies are worse. And
Yeah.
so I did want to say like to expand on that because I agree that's really awesome. It's it's across all enemies. So
Hmm.
in the beginning, you really only encounter one type, but once you start seeing more, like the color coding continues. So even if it's a different character design, a different like species or whatever,
Yeah, and this
they
proceeds
still
into
have.
even the boss monsters. Like
Really?
there's creatures called Lionels, and there's red
Oh yeah.
Lionels, and there's blue Lionels.
Oh, I
So
didn't know. Oh geez. I thought
oh,
there was
sorry, spoiler alert.
I just thought there was only I thought they were just red and now I'm like there's worse ones. Those are so hard
Yeah.
to fight. Oh, yeah. So that's I guess another honk and some people might call this a bonk is I like the food situation. And I know, Isaac, you talked a lot about how you think it's really unrealistic because you're literally like mid battle and you're like, let me eat a steak.
Yeah.
Which I get, but I don't know. I have a lot of fun. Basically, you get to collect like ingredients, and then the way that you restore hearts or get power ups is by creating your own recipes. So I think it's fun because you get to like pick what goes in there,
Yep.
and it's just really creative and fun. And it has the sounds that happen when you cook. Those slap. That is like A
Peak
plus
sound
sound
design.
design is the best. So so that's really good. I do really like this is like I guess it's a honk. I feel like it's just more fun. I like the horse mechanic. Actually, I will say it's a honk. It took a second to get used to, but basically, when you ride a horse, instead of so normally you're like you propel your character forward, right? Like you have to physically like move something to make them walk forward in the game. But when you're riding a horse, you press A to make the horse gallop, and then the horse is just going to gallop. Like you don't have to propel the horse, but you do have to control the direction that the horse is going. But when you're still taming the horse, you have to like soothe it. You can fight people on the horse. I feel like it's actually not too difficult to do. I've had fun with that. Isaac's like, I don't know about that.
Nope. I've never played a horse combat I liked.
I like this one, but you said you haven't combated on horses in this one yet, so you
I
can't speak
probably
to it.
haven't. I might have
So ha ha
used
ha.
arrows from horseback.
That's what I mostly do, but I think it's fun. And yeah, so I enjoy that. I think the only thing with the bonk with the horse mechanic is basically you can access all your horses at stables. Um, but say you're like riding a horse and then you get to a point where the horse can't go, you kind of just have to abandon it. Like there's that you can't tell it like go back to home or something. Like you just kind of leave it, do your thing, and then when you go to a stable, you can basically board it. Um so it's not like the horse gets lost. It's fine. It's just a video game horse, but it does feel kind of bad every time I'm like, okay, well, you just hang out here, I guess, and see you later.
So is that all your honks?
I think so. But I mean, overall, it's just a great game.
All right. Well, being the best game ever, does it have any bonks in your
It
opinion? Are there
does.
any
Yeah.
game design aspects of it that you do not enjoy?
Yes, I do think there are some bonks. Here's a bonk. Um, so one of the bonks I have, and it's been kind of less of an issue as I keep playing the game and get better at it, but is because of the durability issue, and I did again talk about this a little bit last week when we were talking about durability in general. It does get to the point where sometimes I just don't have stuff, right? Like I'm out.
Yeah.
And when you're out, like if I lost all my bows, I just don't have ranged weapons anymore. And so that can make it really challenging. And there's no way to buy them so far. And now again, I'm not through the game, but so far all the stores I've encountered, they all have very specific items. So like there's some games where every single store is exactly the same and you can buy the same stuff, kind of like a Pokestop, right?
Yep.
But then in some games, it's like each town has like a specialty, and I'm okay with that. But the issue comes when like I have so many rupees right now, which is the money in the game. I have like
Over
over
2,000.
2,000. Yeah. So
I
it's like
have 6.
I would love to like use some of that to buy a bow, but that's just not a choice. That's not a choice. And so that's kind of annoying. It's like you do have to find everything out in the wild. And even if they make it expensive, I think it'd be nice to have the option to purchase things that you can't find, just especially kind of like on Animal Crossing. You can choose to build it or you can go to the store and buy it. And I think that would be
Yep.
nice. And maybe they only sell like one type. Like I could see them still limiting it, but just to help out when you get into a little bit of a sticky situation.
I did think of a bonk myself.
You did? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I know you like the cooking a whole lot, but I do think that the design around how you cook
Mm.
is annoying, kind of frustrating. It deters me from making like lots of dishes, and I generally only make dishes as I need because you have to navigate through this expansive inventory where you have like the ingredients inventory is the same as like your sell stuff inventory, like your junk inventory basically. And I think that's because like some of the stuff that is there for you to sell can also be used in elixirs and stuff. So like goblins will drop horns, bats will drop wings, those you make for elixirs, and then you have like topaz and diamonds which are to sell. And then you have your eggs and your meat and your salt next to them, and like navigating through all that, adding what you want to your hands,
You can
and
sort
then
it.
tossing but even then,
Okay.
like, because I think rock salt isn't in the food section, it's in the mineral
Mm.
section.
Mhm.
So I think rock salt is like next to your flint and topaz. It can just be annoying to navigate, and like there's four different kinds of frogs of different colors, and one of them like increases your stamina, one of them is for electricity resistance, etc. And they're like, okay, well, I want the stamina frog. If you haven't memorized the colors, anyways,
It
all I'm
says it.
saying is the fact that you have to fill your hands with all these items, toss
Mhm.
them into the pot, watch or skip a shortcut scene, and then get your item, and then you have to reopen the menu. You have to fill your hands with items, and then toss into the pot, and then watch the cutscene. It's like, okay, I'm
I
gonna spend
just
25 minutes to make 3 items. Like,
That does not, no. I made like 10 items in like 15 minutes. I really don't mind this mechanic at all. I think it's fun. I feel creative when I do it. It does not bother me at
well,
all. So this is
it's
a divergence of opinion. Um I will say I wish you could make multiples of something at the same time, but what happen if you
right,
add, so say like if it's like okay, a chicken wing and rock salt. It's like whatever, it's easy peasy. But if I added 2 chicken wings and 2 rock salt, it would just be double the recovery. It wouldn't be 2
right.
dishes. So I wish there was some menu option of like make 2 versus like make extra. I don't know. But other than that, I'm totally fine with the cooking mechanics. I think it's fun and I don't think it's that hard.
I would be completely fine with it if you had the option when you finished cooking and it showed you you made this. If the options were like A, continue, plus go to your inventory, like Y, make
Like
again.
Animal Crossing.
Does it have the option to just make the same thing again?
No, that would be really good, but it does have like
Yeah.
you want to keep crafting and then it goes back to your recipes versus like just exiting out.
That would be a good first step, but like the way to solve it in both games is to just have a button to repeat recipe if you still have the same
Yeah.
ingredients.
Yeah, no,
And
that
then
would be
I
nice.
would be fine with that. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna roast 12 mushroom chestnut skewers.
Yeah,
Boom.
that would be nice, but I still like it. I still like it. I think it's fun. And also, for once in our gaming, I think I read more than you because I don't mind that I don't memorize the colors because it describes what they do right in the description on the last sentence
But
of the
I'm trying to go through
description.
quick.
But it's just like the last like couple words of the description will always say it's like
That's true. And then the,
ability.
the the name will also make it clear. But anyways, do you have any more
Anyway,
bonks that you've thought of?
um well, so I okay, I'll say one more bonk and then that's it. This is barely a bonk. This is more like I misplayed, not misplayed, I don't know. Basically, one of the quests, like the big quests, is to find memories because when you wake up as Link, you have no memories. And the guy who helps you find them travels around to different horse stables. And just what happened to me, it just happened to be I found 2 stables where he didn't go to. So I'm
Yeah.
just wandering around aimlessly because really the memories are pretty impossible to find if you don't have a little bit of guidance. Like you kind of need to know the general area where they are.
Hmm.
Because they're just photos of things, but it's like photos of like a tree. And you're like, well, there's 100 trees, probably more than that in this game. So that's not very helpful.
So I'm just gonna tell a little anecdote. I found one memory spot because I saw that there was two mountain peaks in the photo, and then I saw on the map that there was like two mountain peaks roughly like
Mhm.
lined up with each other in that way, and then I just tried to find the spot on the Great Plateau where it lined up,
Yeah. I mean,
and
you
I was like,
can
"Oh,
do
here it
that.
is."
Like, you can do that, but I think that's really hard. I don't know, maybe my brain
Yes.
doesn't work that
Oh,
way, but
that's the only situation where like that worked. Other like I could see it if you're walking if you've closely analyzed the photographs and you have like a good memory and then you find a new area and you're like, "Oh, these trees look
yeah.
similar. I haven't seen these trees anywhere else. I'll look around.
The chances of
Here's the
me being
memory."
able to remember a photo like that is
Me
basically 0.
0. I
Yeah.
can't visualize things in my brain.
And I just wouldn't be able to memorize it. I just would like I'd be like, "Oh, well, it's kinda like that, but also, like, not quite like that." And I'd just be looking all the time. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. But anyway, I think, yeah, I don't know. I just it's so good. I was playing it right before we recorded, so I will say that I really liked honking and bonking together. I think it's fun because it gives us a little bit of, like, back and forth. We could be like, "I don't agree with that." I agree with that. Like, that was
A
fun.
little bit of a conversation instead of
Maybe
a
we should
monologue.
yeah, we should start trying to honk and bonk games we've both played. I think that would be fun.
Okay.
Listeners, let us know if you like that idea. We'd love to hear it. All right. Well, I think unless Isaac, do you have any questions to ask or games to honk and bonk?
I do not. I am ready to transition into the final bit, the final segment.
Segment, if you will. The rapid fire round. Everybody's favorite. So in the rapid fire round,
Yahaha!
okay. In the rapid fire round, we're going to generate 3 random words. We will have 5 minutes to come up with a game idea based on those 3 words. We have to use every single word, and we do have to come up with a game name within the time frame. That was a rhyme. Isaac, are you ready for our first 3 words?
I'm starting in 3, 2, 1.
These are good. Ice, bear, separation.
Okay, so
So good.
there is a current. You are on the water. You are a polar bear. There are chunks of ice that have broken apart that are moving down the river. And as they move apart, you have to like jump off of them to navigate to the end of the level. So it's
Okay,
kind of
I
like a
was
movement
thinking
puzzle.
I was going a little different. I was gonna say you're a bear made of ice, like a cool ice bear. You live in the ice caps, and you've lost your child, and so you've been separated, and so you have to find your ice bear baby.
Okay.
Or you could play as the ice bear baby, and you have to find ice bear mom, which could be way cuter.
Now, could the gameplay still be about jumping from iceberg
Sure,
to iceberg? Okay,
sure.
boom. Now we've incorporated both ideas.
We're
There
getting
we
too
go.
good at this. That was so fast.
um,
So you're an ice bear baby, and you have to jump from iceberg to iceberg to try to find your mom.
yep. And then, so the icebergs now, do you think that they'll have preset movement patterns based on the level where you're supposed to figure it out? Or do you think that that they will just kind of like float around depending on like how you jump on them and
I
like current
always
will be involved?
I always favor predictability in games. I think you do too, Mr.
Yeah,
Non-random generator.
most of the time. So,
So
like,
I
in one
think
level, the icebergs might all be coming, like, from the
yeah.
top of the screen, but at different timings, so you have to figure out, like, "Oh, they line up when they hit this point,
And
so,
I
like,
think
this is when I can cross."
much like
Frogger
in
style.
yes, I think much like in Breath of the Wild, you can affect the you like so if I jump on one or like maybe I could like create a barrier to like collect that, like kind of like affect the world, but every time you
Mhm.
restart that puzzle, it's going to do the same thing. So that gives
Okay.
you, and the reason I like that repeatability is because it really gives the player a chance to learn and practice. So if it's really
Yep.
hard at first, you can improve. Whereas, and this is why I don't really like roguelike games, I feel like you cannot practice and learn the puzzles. You just kind of have to like, you're starting from fresh every time, which I think is frustrating.
Yep.
Just I always have to get a little dig at roguelikes
Wow.
every time.
Offensive. Okay, so, what's the name of our iceberg game? Iceberg.
That's it. Iceberg.
Iceberg. All right, done with 2 minutes and 14 seconds left on the clock. Iceberg, the game where you are an ice bear crossing icebergs in the Arctic. All right, I'm ready for a rapid fire round 2.
All right. You're timing?
I'm ready to go. Do you have words?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, 1, 2, 3, go.
Agent, perforate, coup.
Oh
Okay.
no!
So let me say coup. So it's COUP. So it could be so many different things. It could be a coup, like a government coup. It could be a
That,
coop,
that
like a chicken coop. It could be.
no, that's COOP.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Oh, it's just a coup? That's the only thing it
a
could be?
coup is a coup d'état.
That's
Like
the only thing it could be? Okay, well, what about a coupe like the cup, like the fancy champagne cup? Is that how it's spelled?
I don't know, but like we've got agent, we've got perforation, and we've got coup. We've got a game where you are an assassin.
Coupe has a E at the end, the cup one, so it can't be
Okay,
about champagne, sorry.
so like you are just an agent who assassinates. So we're gonna. It's March 11th, but we're going March 15th here. Ides of March.
Okay, okay.
You are an assassin in Roman times, perforating senators
I don't know if I
to.
love using perforate for, like, a stab. I don't know if I love that for us.
Yeah, but it fits. It fits. So yeah, Ides
Okay.
of March. You're stabbing Caesars, and
See it multiple.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and yeah. That's there we go. I think technically it's Caesar, but
I doubt
anyways.
that.
Okay. All right. Well, anyways,
Is it? It
we
can't
you,
be. That
we are
sounds
on a
fake.
time limit. So it's a stealth based like action game. You have to infiltrate past the senator's guards and get a time where they're alone enough where you can either take down what guard element they have and then get to them, or get to them alone and then you stab them. And yeah, it's basically an Assassin's Creed game or a Hitman game, but specifically set in Roman times, which I think Assassin's Creed already did that. But moving on,
Okay.
um, the game is called what's a synonym for Creed?
I don't know what that means.
Okay,
Like
what's a synonym for
declaration?
assassin?
Is a creed like a declaration or an agreement or a
So like Creed
what
is
is
like a
it?
set of beliefs, I think. So
Okay.
this game is called Agent's Set of Beliefs.
Let's keep working on that. Uh
Okay, that joke, I was not educated enough to make that joke work, and it went on far too long. I'm so sorry, listeners. This is apparently not a comedy
all right,
podcast
let's go.
anymore.
So we could go with Roman, Latin.
Okay,
What's Assassin's Creed in Latin?
Cretus Assassinatus. That would be the Warhammer version of it because Warhammer version is bad Latin.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they've got all kinds of bad Latin, intentionally bad Latin. Did you did you
It's
punch it in?
Assassin's Credo.
That's too close. That's too close. We can't go with that one. Um,
Oh wait, no, wait. That's French. I don't know why it didn't translate it to Latin. Okay, hold on.
okay.
Although I'm Credo does not sound French, but okay. It's Sicari
Oh,
Sicari Fideli.
is there two eyes on the end?
Yeah.
So it's Sicarii Fideli, I think.
Sicarii Fidei. It's Fidei.
Okay. Sicarii Fidei, I think is
I
my
think that's
Latin is rusty,
I think
but
that's
that's
fun to say, and I think we should do that.
yeah, Sicarii Fidei or
Here,
Fidei.
I can make Google say it to me.
Oh yeah, will it play on the podcast?
Sicari Fidi.
Sicarii Fidei. Okay, Sicarii Fidei. Sicarii Fidei.
Something
There
like
we
that.
go.
There we go.
So 40 seconds left. Sakari Fadi, the
Oh wait,
assassins.
it changed it. I spelled it wrong and it changed it. Now it says it's Sicarus Symbolum.
I like the
Yeah, the other
rhyme.
one. Okay,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
misspelled one. Great.
yep. What exactly did you misspell?
Assassin.
Oh, that's interesting because I know Sakar. So maybe I won't get into this, but my historical knowledge brain set. So the Sicarii were like Jewish people during the Roman times that rose up against their oppressors, and they would do like assassins. They were basically like a military order, like rebellion within the Roman Empire. But
It just keeps changing it every time I
that's
click
because
something
Latin is
else.
a very complicated bird. Are you ready for the third rapid fire round? And we will try to avoid Latin in this one.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go in three, two, one, go.
It's loading. It's loading, and here we go. Global disappointment secretion.
I don't like that secretion is a word, but I
No.
do like global disappointment because that is me.
I feel like, yeah, I was gonna say that's a great insult. Like if you need to pull that out someday, just to be like, "You're such a global disappointment."
It feels like something that the narrator or like one of your skills in Disco Elysium would call you.
Mm. Mhm.
Or they would call communism that. So actually, let's go the Disco Elysium route. This game is about the secretion of communism.
Okay. I
Um,
was gonna go more locked tomb and have like different planets. You have to like basically like excise things from different planets.
okay, collect resources from planets as Okay. Ooh, alright, I'm kinda liking this. You're like instead of, like, an individual person or something, like, you're some kind
Mhm.
of, like, cosmic force that can just move
Ooh,
through the
okay.
cosmos.
I like that.
So, like, I like the vision of, like, being able to navigate the universe without a spaceship or anything and, like, just come across planets and just, like, get something from them. Disappointment maybe is about the narrative, like you are like a godling or something, like, and you've disappointed the bigger god above you,
Yeah.
your godfather, if you will, and so you just you have to gain back their respect
Oh
by
my god.
doing this planetary secretion.
So I think I like that. So the motivation is that you feel like a global disappointment. But
Yes.
but I think that, like, it's gotta be a twist at the end where you realize that, like, no matter what you do, the godfather, like, just won't be impressed and you have to, like, live your own life.
You secrete planets for your own benefit rather than your godfather's.
Yeah, or whatever, something like that. That's the story arc I see here.
Yeah, but so okay, so the actual gameplay is you're flying through space, like high speeds, like blasting around. You're looking for specific kinds of planets, and maybe you have some kind of like sense that manifests as like a radar. Let's say let's use a random game like Breath of the Wild for an example,
Mhm.
where there will be
Just
like
a
a beep
random
beep. Yeah,
example.
just a random game that we haven't mentioned at all. It's not on our mind.
Mm-mm.
So it does like a bleep 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 as you get close to the planets that have this thing that you want, and then um there's some kind of mini game or puzzle for each planet to actually get the secretion from.
Oh, okay, I like that, yep.
Um, and then let's just say that the goal is you need a certain number of whatever this thing that you're gathering from the planets, and then you 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 win the game when you get that many. So let's say that you just need to bring back 99,
Well, so I
and
don't think
then
so I think 99 and then you bring them to the godfather and then the godfather's like, "This is still poultry and your disappointment." It's like, "But I did everything you said." And then you fight him.
you fight, yes. Okay. And then here's the thing though, there's more than 99 like planets in this
Right.
large universe so that you can choose which puzzles you want to solve. Like
I
we
like that.
talked about, like we're bringing the honks and bonks into this. It was a honk that you could like go to different areas depending on like what you like to do or what you saw as hard. So once you defeat him, then the world completely opens up and then you just go collect the rest of the planets for fun.
Yeah. And there could be like other like side quests and rewards and things like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we need a name.
Yeah. I mean, global disappointment is really good, but
I
is that
Can we just go with global
yes.
disappointment?
Of course we
Okay.
can.
With
Of
50
course we can.
seconds, with 50 seconds left on the clock, global disappointment, cosmic, planetary, interplanetary travel game. Uh I I'm adding to it after we stop the timer, but I'm imagining pretty easygoing vibes, like very cozy game kind of
Oh,
vibes where
okay.
you're
Yep.
just I'm going to float to this next location. I'm going to do a pretty chill puzzle. Like I don't imagine that there's a lot of like cosmic combat where you're like throwing like galaxy-sized fireballs at other cosmic entities or
I
anything,
will say that
but maybe
and
some areas have that.
I will say that I think we have to obviously we're not making this game for real, but if we were, I don't want it to fall into like a chicory situation where everything is a fun puzzle until you get to a boss and then you're not trained at all for how to fight.
Oh, that's fair. So that
So
okay,
either
so I
you
would
fight
say
things
like
or the boss is a puzzle. But either way, we just have to make sure there's a consistency so that you don't get because that was the biggest chicory bonk was that like and listener Megan fully agreed that yeah, like everything was a puzzle, but then each level had like this boss fight that made no sense and like was really difficult because you don't ever practice combat.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So, hey, full of game design tips and tricks here.
That's
That's
what
a
you're
good
gonna
one.
get. That's what you're gonna get from this podcast. But that being said, this podcast is over for today.
No
This
more
is
tips and tricks.
no more tips and tricks right now, but you can find us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Make That Game Pod. I actually just posted a TikTok this morning and I'm really proud of it. So you should check it out. It's
Mhm.
links. Nope. It's Breath of the Wild themed.
Link's Awakening of the Wild.
Links there, though. Anyway, you can also email us, makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com. If you have game ideas or games we should try or anything else you want to send us, we love it. You can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@ the @ symbol, make that game. And then you can also find us on Twitch, twitch.tv/make that game. That's where you can find us. And if you heard a game today that you said, I just need to play that, I need that to exist right now, we encourage you to get out there and make that game.